apparently Pakistan had been warned, or Pakistan has had presumed that these places could be targeted, and they had evacuated the jihadis from these places. And I consider at least the Jamaat-ud-Dawa as a state actor. They do not usually carry out such attacks without their knowledge and permission. If this attack was really carried out by Lashkar-e-Taiba, then it must have been permitted and allowed by the Pakistani military.
Hello and welcome to the Gist for StratNews Global. This is Nayanima Basu. We have with us today a very special guest, Mr. Arif Jamal. He is a senior Pakistani journalist who is now based in the US, and he is associated with the New York University and Harvard University. And of course, he's a renowned author who has 2 seminal books, which eventually we'll discuss during this interaction. We are going to understand from him the new normal, so to say, between India and Pakistan, and what is going to be the outcome post-Operation Sindoor that is currently on from India's side, although currently there is a ceasefire. Welcome to the Gist, sir, and thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, sir, thank you, as I said, for giving us your time. But let me really first ask you, the kind of research and the books that you have written, the Shadow War, and of course, Call for Transnational Jihad, and the way you have done deep research, Lashkar-e-Taiba. Of course, you've had a lot of interactions with Hafiz Saeed. There is very little understanding, I believe, after reading your books, is the fact that very small kind of understanding, I would say, India has, or the expert community in South Asia. Right now, people would really like to know, our readers and viewers, in the sense that how really this terrorism, this terrorist network in Pakistan works.
Let us understand first, these are not terrorist groups in the sense of we understand terrorism. These are Islamist groups who believe that spreading Islam is their foremost duty, and they are ready to die and kill others to spread Islam. Lashkar-e-Taiba is by far the biggest Islamist group in the world, and but it is mostly concentrated in Pakistan and India, but it has links with a lot of other jihadi groups around the world. What they do is usually considered terrorism by others, but they themselves do not consider what they do as terrorism. They think it's jihad. And why I say it's not going to help India, because I think jihad was always there. It had been paused after 9/11 attacks under the American and Western influence. But these groups were active inside Pakistan. They were fundraising, they were training, they were recruiting, they were growing bigger and bigger. And the idea was there may be a time when Pakistan may need them to relaunch their jihad in Kashmir or in Afghanistan.
Right, but let me ask you one thing out here, and sorry to interrupt you. I'm sure you have heard what the Indian government has said. First, India has directly, indirectly, and I would rather say directly through the Minister of External Affairs, has denied that there had been any kind of US involvement, so to say. And for that, it has gone on the record that how the Pakistani DGMO had called the Indian DGMO. B, India refuses to say that this is a ceasefire, which is why Prime Minister was very clear in his speech that Operation Sindoor is very much on. It's just a matter of time when and where India responds. So, what do you have to say to that?
See, from Indian viewpoint, the war is still on. It is only a ceasefire. The war has not ended. And when we are in a state of war, uh, it is very difficult to really see the truth. India is saying one thing, but President Trump has been saying over and over and over again that a nuclear war was imminent, and his pressure stopped the nuclear war. Now, I don't know whom to believe.
Okay, points well taken, because you are based out of US, and we all are kind of seeing our own things from our own perspective, what the government is saying. But what I needed to understand from you, sir, and for which you are an expert, is how do you think these terrorist networks work?
I can tell you there was no training taking place on these camps. These were once training camps which were converted into their members' colonies, and the families were living in these areas, and Mujahideens. They were, of course, Mujahideens' families, and Mujahideen were also living there, but they were training or fundraising elsewhere. They were a very non-jihadi centers in that sense, because and there was no training as such going on. There were mosques, and strangely, to my knowledge, no jihadi was killed in these attacks. Apparently, Pakistan had been warned, or Pakistan had presumed that these places could be targeted, and they had evacuated the jihadis from these places. So my sense is that regular army cannot defeat terrorism alone. You need to have other ways to fight terrorism. Now, in the long term, this would be very detrimental to Pakistan, in the sense that Pakistan is a much smaller country with much less resources. Now, look at what has been happening since the ceasefire. Pakistan has announced to increase its defense budget by 18%. It's a lot of money which will be flowing from development projects into military projects, and it's going to give a lot of economic pain to people. And if this tension continues, Pakistan will have very, very bad economic situation in the years to come. But
Okay,
that is a
but
long-term effect.
mhm. So now two things. You said that there were no training centers, and you're sure about that. But then we did see the government releasing a photograph of LET terrorist funerals going on, and that funeral being attended by Pakistani army and other government officials. So how would you really describe this? That okay, there may not be training centers, but then the fact is there is this state sponsored terrorism that is going on, and how do you think that can be, what can be the long term solution?
People did die in these 9 attacks, and there were funerals. And one of the funerals was by a Lashkar-e-Taiba commander, Hafiz Abdur Rauf. But we don't know who were the dead. Well, there could be children, there could be women, and symbolically the army people um, did participate in those funerals. We still don't know. It will take a while when we discover the truth. But there have been reports in Pakistan that there have been a couple of covert Indian operations in which they have been able to kill a couple of Lashkar-e-Taiba operatives. That can be true.
As I initially wanted to understand from you, how does the Lashkar-e-Taiba work? And in your book, I have understood that how it is, it is a smaller faction of the larger Jamaat-ud-Dawa, JUD, and the way the JUD has links with Al Qaeda. So, can you explain that for our viewers how they work, not just within the South Asian region, but also globally? The network works.
Uh, Lashkar-e-Taiba is actually one of the departments of Jamaat-ud-Dawa, but because of its actions in Indian Kashmir, it has become more prominent than Jamaat-ud-Dawa. Uh, the the Jamaat-ud-Dawa actually is organized as a political party, which has a militant group, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and the goal of Jamaat-ud-Dawa is to bring about Salafi Islam in Pakistan and beyond Pakistan. Um, they I do not think that Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jamaat-ud-Dawa are non-state actors. Jamaat-ud-Dawa is very closely linked with the Pakistani military, and I consider at least Jamaat-ud-Dawa as a state actor. They do not usually carry out such attacks without their knowledge and permission. Uh, if uh, if this attack was really carried out um, by Lashkar-e-Taiba, then it must have been permitted and allowed by the Pakistani military. But at this time, we do not know much. I am sure Indian government and intelligence agencies have gathered some information, and but they have not made it available to us. Unless what Indian government knows is made public, uh, we will not be able to dissect what really happened. But what I can uh, see is that this attack was definitely not a false flag.
Mm-hmm.
This what a lot of Pakistani um, uh, analysts are saying. This attack was uh, very well planned in a very jihadi way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do not know if they were independent jihadis or they were linked with Pakistani military or they were linked with Lashkar-e-Taiba or um, Jaish-e-Mohammed or any other group. They could be simply disgruntled elements.
Mm-hmm. But if I can ask you, do you see this, the resistance front that is the TRF that is coming up as an offshoot of LET? Do you think this kind of offshoots are going to be the new reality of these terror networks as and when they kind of grow and expand?
This has always been the reality in Kashmir. Most of the groups uh, operating in the Indian Kashmir assumed other names. You remember the group which kidnapped and killed for European tourists in 1994, Al-Faran. So
Yes.
Al-Faran emerged uh, on the scene, killed some European Western tourists, and then we never heard of that again. Now, let me give you one more example, current example. Uh, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which
Right.
is actually fighting Pakistani state um, in the northwestern parts of Pakistan. Uh, it is operating under several names. And
Mm-hmm.
in the last year or so, I have counted 93 different names which came up when they carried out their operations. But they were all linked to um, to Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. These groups assume a name, carry out an operation, and then they disappear. So Lashkar-e-Taiba will probably not carry out any attack in its own name now. I think the last time they carried out their such attacks in their own name was in 2001. After that, they stopped using their own name.
You have also interviewed Hafiz Saeed, and there are a
Ye-
lot of conversations going on in India on Hafiz Saeed. Can you tell us what have been your interactions like with him?
I have interviewed him and spent time with him a couple of times before 2007. The last time I met him was, I think, in 2007. The first time I met him was in 1996. He's a very religious person who sees the future of the world as a Muslim, a Salafi Muslim. Um, he believes in himself, his ideology, and he's a no nonsense, very hardworking man. I haven't seen a more hardworking jihadi than him.
Mhm. But do you think he is going to be? I mean, I'm sure he's now aging, and uh, does he have a kind of succession plan? And as you said, that he firmly believes in the idea of jihad that he has. How do you think his next generation, or how is he going to expand this in his absence?
Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jamaat-ud-Dawa has penetrated each and every walk of Pakistani life. They are at this time inseparable. So I see, uh, I don't see Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jamaat-ud-Dawa going anywhere in the near future. They are going to remain there, and um, they are definitely a potential constant threat to India. It depends on a lot of things uh, when they become active and restart their jihad openly, or they continue their covert jihad, um, like uh, one odd operation here, another there, after a few weeks, after a gap of 2 months, 4 months, I don't know. But they are there. They are a reality, and we have to face it. And it wouldn't be easy to dismantle Lashkar-e-Taiba, even if you want to dismantle, even if Pakistani government wants to dismantle it.
But is it not going to be harmful for Pakistan state as well? I mean, India will deal it the way it has been dealing for so many years. Governments will come and change, and we can probably see a new normal setting in. But what about the Pakistani state itself? If they continue to, as you said, that they cannot be detached. If they cannot be detached, then what is the future of Pakistan really? And it's a nuclear armed state, end of the day.
Pakistan's jihad in Kashmir and in Afghanistan has been very destructive of Pakistani society in the last 40, 45 years. Pakistani society has become very weak. The democratic spaces have reduced, and um, it has become very violent. And in the sense you ask, yes, it is actually a bigger threat to Pakistan than to India. Um, and mind you, the ultimate goal of Jamaat-ud-Dawa is to bring about their Islam, their version of Islam in Pakistan.
Mhm. But do you really see, sir, and since you have done so much deep research, that these two countries, as Prime Minister has stated, and it has been India's stated stance, that the discussion with Pakistan is going to be, uh, that they have to return Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Same Pakistan says that, it'll get the part that India has. Now, where do you think these two can really sit and talk? Because now the new normal is going to be very different. Or do you think that these two countries will again go back to what it used to be? Because this is not how two neighbors, nuclear armed neighbors, can really coexist.
The new normal is not going to help in any way. And I think India should understand that a war with Pakistan will not be in their interest or in Pakistan's interest. Uh, the war in South Asia is going to turn very ugly and nuclear, not in a matter of months, but probably in a matter of weeks. Because you see, India is a very big power vis-a-vis Pakistan, but Pakistan is a nuclear uh, power as well. And when Pakistan starts losing, they can interpret it in different ways. They are going to use the nuclear because that is the only option they are left with. Pakistan will not accept being defeated one more time, and the only way to fight back would be nuclear. And I do not think that would be in the interest of India. Now, Kashmir is not going to go away easily between the two countries. Um, Kashmir should be put on back burner if we want to save South Asia. India should try to become an economic power to win back Kashmir instead of a military power. India has to change its military strategy, regional strategy as well. I think India should learn from China. China, uh, China is a huge economic success. India is the uh, fourth economy, but in India, um, the the absolute majority is still lives in absolute poverty. And what has happened is uh, during um, this war, India was seen as an American proxy, not only in Pakistan but also in China, and that is why um, China helped Pakistan in a very unprecedented way. Nobody in Pakistan was expecting that because it looks like America wants to use India against China, and China understands that, and now Pakistan has a history of fighting jihad for the Americans in 1980s, and then after the 9/11 attacks. Now Pakistan is used to fighting jihad for others, and why not fight a war for China, which is which benefits both China and Pakistan. So I think if there's a war in the future war, China will be helping Pakistan a lot more than this time.
Mhm.
So
Well, that
I
will.
think I think the biggest mistake India is making at this time is the policy of being very close to America. India should not be seen as an American proxy against China. India is too huge, and India has all the potential to become uh, a big power. at least as big as China. And I think India should get out of the Quad group, which is seen as an anti-China group. India should be seen as a non-aligned country and work for its economic success. Non-alignment should be very natural to Indians. Indians were the force behind non-aligned movement when the world wars, when they were fighting Cold War.
Due to paucity of time, let me ask you my last question. In all this, how do you see Asim Muni really made a space for himself? Today, he has gone on and he's become, he's promoted and he's become marshal, so to say. But was this really expected? Do you think had Operation Sindoor not happened, would he really gotten this post that he has got today?
You see, I was always of the view that any war, any conflict with India will will unite Pakistanis. When I say Pakistanis, I actually mean urban Pakistanis and Punjab mostly to um, unite behind the Pakistani military. Um, and that is what happened. Uh, for me, it's a temporary phase. If tension with India eases, the popularity of Field Marshal Asim Munir will also evaporate. But if there, as long as there is tension between the two countries, he will continue enjoying some sort of popularity.
Why do you say that?
Because Pakistanis would act in a patriotic way, um, and they would say that it's a question of defending their country. But as long as soon as the tension between the two countries goes, the the political conflict will re-emerge, and the military will again be target of popular anger.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Well, thank you
So,
so
so
much,
in,
sir.
in that in that
Yeah.
sense, it's in the interest of Pakistani military also to keep it hot.
Mhm. So you think that Pakistani military also will not really want this particular conflict to end, right? Although they are talking of ceasefire.
They would like to keep it simmering. They will not like to have a hot war, but they will like to have um, a lot of tension between the two countries.
And that they
This
can
is
only do by creating more tensions in Kashmir.
uh, yes, Kashmir will be the focus of the tension, but it could be elsewhere also from now and then. There may be an attack elsewhere, less lethal, less traumatic, and then there is tension. I think India can help Pakistan um, in by not responding disproportionately. War is not India. You see, one thing is sure: India or Pakistan cannot win a hot war. It's going to be a nuclear war. I'm repeating over and over again. It's not going to remain um, a, a limited war.
So you think the only solution then could be a political solution, a dialogue, right? I mean,
Yes,
you
I
really
think there
not
is
allow
no
a
other
nuclear war.
solution. There is no other solution, and let's see how Americans press both countries to ease out. Uh, Otherwise, we can have a very, very bad, ugly situation.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for your time, sir, and thank you for giving us some of those inputs. For Strat News Global, this is Nayanima Basu. Thank you for watching the interaction.
For 5 years, we've been bringing to you insights and in-depth analysis on national security affairs, foreign policy, defense and diplomacy, without noise or sensationalism. Now, we are taking it a step further by introducing StratNews Global, members-only community. We're starting off with a 3-part exclusive series on Operation Sindoor with me, Nitin Gokhale. What really happened, how it changed the rules of engagement, and what it signals for the future. But there's more. If you become a member, you can interact with me directly and ask questions. Think of this as an insiders forum for India's strategic affairs. Members will get early access to important interviews, exclusive deep dives, commentary and community chats that won't be available to others. All this for a monthly subscription of 239 rupees. If you value independent, credible journalism on security and strategy, this is your way to support it and get more out of it. Click the join button below and be part of StratNews Global members only community.